we are back and joined on the podcast today by Paranormal Pat. Pat, how you doing today, man?
Oh, I'm doing great. Like I said, I'm glad to be back again. You guys can't get rid of me now.
Yeah, I mean, 3 out of our last 4 episodes, man. This is the last 4th out of 4 episodes where we're covering wrestling, and we're getting ready to dive into the full review here for Ready to Rumble. So, real quick before we start this off, Pat, when was the first time you remember watching Ready to Rumble?
I'm trying to remember if I saw it in theater or not. I'm pretty sure I did, but I think when I saw it in theater, though, I think I just went I might have went by myself, to tell you the truth. I can't remember. But I think my very first memory was watching it with a couple of my friends that I played football with in high school. And just, I think that's my main memory of it, because it was just all of us enjoying it and laughing and, just going along for the ride of Ready to Rumble.
Well, I can tell you this. A lot of people watch this by themselves because their box office numbers were not great. Now, let's go ahead and dive into it, man. So the film begins with a voiceover from Scott Caan, and he explains that some of the history of professional wrestling, and then the camera pans out and we see Sean, who's lecturing some young kids about the greatness of Jimmy the King. Gordy sits on the step of the convenience store drinking a slushie and reading a wrestling magazine. JD, let's talk about our 2 leads here. We got Scott Caan as Sean Dawkins. We've got David Arquette as Gordy Boggs. What do you think of the 2 of them in these roles?
It's not our first Scott Caan movie, is it, Kyle?
It is not. Varsity Blues.
In our archives. It's our first David Arquette. I personally love... Oh, son of a bitch
Scream?
bastard. Yes, we've done Scream. Oh, my goodness. Noose me up and kill me. How did I forget that we've done Scream?
Yep, it's been a while, man.
Point being, we've got 2 great, fantastic leads. I think Scott Caan is a great actor. One day we will get to Ocean's 11 where he does a fantastic job. We've already done Varsity Blues where he kicks ass. And we've got Deputy Dewey. And he's honestly hilarious, and it holds up. His shtick holds up.
I think it does too. I'm glad you pointed that out. So Sean pulls out a WCW magazine, which I used to get back in the day, and it's got Jimmy the King on the front of it, and he quotes him, "People always said I was a dreamer, a waste of life, and that I've never amounted to anything." The store clerk comes out to cut him off, and he throws these young kids' bicycles on the ground and tells them that wrestling's for retards, and then tells them they're as dumb as paint. And then he points at Gordy and says, "Really dumb paint." The cashier goes back inside, and Sean continues his story, claiming that Jimmy the King can raise people from the dead. He's the people's champion, right, Gordy? Gordy doesn't respond. He just stands straight up, and he's kind of in a bit of a trance here as he goes inside the store. And we cut inside, and let's listen to our first clip here.
What do you want, boob? Purple sugar slush. King size. That'll be $1.26. $1.25. That's all I got. That's just not good enough now, is it, you little boob? You little Jimmy the King fan boob? Oh, Jimmy King's a big fat loser. He's a sissy in tights. There's a lot of glare coming off that dome of yours, squirrel nuts. Listen, sunshine, I'm gonna open up a fresh can of whoop ass on you, boy. Yeah! Bring it on! Tag me! Now you're gonna get it! You messed with the Macho Man, Randy Savage! I'm gonna get you, yeah!
So Pat, Jimmy the King comes to the rescue here, and then Gordy kind of snaps to, and we find out it was all just brain freeze. What'd you think of this first clip?
I thought it was great. Like, you got Macho Man just comes out. Like, kind of cracks me up Gordy's face. He's like, "Oh, you messed with the Macho Man." He's like, "No, I was messing with the store clerk."
Yeah, gosh, even just listening to that clip, he's got such a distinct voice. Ooh, now you're gonna get it. I don't do it as good as JD does, but man, you know that voice anywhere.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, one of my favorites with him was in Spider-Man. You know, he's like, "Where you going? You went there? I got you 3 minutes."
That's one of the best parts of that Spider-Man movie. All right, so once he comes to, Sean tells Gordy that, "Hey man, I wanted some of that purple slush too." And Gordy's like, "Yeah, no problem, I'll get a refill." So as he's walking in, Sean's like, "Hey Gordy, why does it look like you have a finger in your butt?" He just turns around, he's like, 'Cause I do, stupid." So Gordy goes inside and tells the cashier that he needs a new sugar slush. And the cashier asks why. Gordy pulls his finger out of his butt and puts the cup to his face. And he's like, this one smells. And the cashier immediately starts gagging. He's like, "Oh, it smells like my ass, right? Yeah, like a bitter, smelly ass. I will get you a new one ASAP." And then he asks Gordy how he managed to drink most of it. And Gordy says, "Well, I struggled through most of it, but the butt fruit kind of settled at the bottom." JD, I got to ask, man, have you ever tried to pull this one on a 7-Eleven?
Debated it. Definitely debated it, but never pulled the trigger.
We have to try this one time before we get too old and it's just completely out of line.
We're definitely too old to put our own fingers in our own butts to try to save $1.26.
$1.25, that's all I got.
We might be able to find like a nephew or something, right?
Yeah, there you go. Thinking outside the box. I love it. So outside, Gordy's dad has arrived and he tells Sean to freeze, loafer. He starts searching him and says, "Ooh, what's this?" He's like, "Those are my nuts." He searches Gordy as well, who tells him he's got to cool it with these shakedowns. And he pulls out the WCW magazine. He tells him wrestling's fake. And Gordy screams, "Wrestling's not fake!" And his dad looks just like shocked. And he asks if he's going to be a wrestler and then starts laughing. "You have trouble wrestling your wee-wee out of your trousers to take a leak." Gordy's like, "It's not that I have trouble. It's just I don't see the point sometimes." His dad gets serious for a second and tells him that he's going to be a cop, just like the rest of the family. And he tells him that wrestling's for dirtbags and lily pickers. JD, what'd you think of this first scene with the dad, who is also in our archives?
Yep.
I was definitely thrown off. I was like, who is this guy? Why is he arresting him? Why is he accosting him? And then to find out it's his dad, it just reminded me so much of Bill and Ted.
Yeah.
I love the cop dad in that. But it's a cool scene, and it does, from a writing standpoint, it's a little sort of foot and mouth and too easy to just have them have this over-the-top dad that just drones on them, but at the same time it sets up some good conflict.
Yep. And if I can drop a Varsity Blues quote for a second. "Y'all remembers Williamstown. Go ahead, son, nail the can." God, I love that scene. The next day, Gordy and Sean are driving, and Gordy comments that his dad sucks. And Sean's like, "Well, at least you have a dad, man." Gordy says, "Yeah, he's always on my ass about taking the cop exam." And it's like, "Jimmy King always says, this is America, and I can be anyone I want." Sean's like, no, it's actually, I can beat up anyone I want. But, who cares about that? You know what tonight is? Monday Night Nitro. Live and live. So they arrive at work to clean out the porta potties, and these two workers come out and say, "Oh, shit, boys, how's the shit work?" And the guy says, "Excuse me, man, I made a mess in there because I've been using the jackhammer." So Sean gets ready to go use the bathroom, and we see Gordy go behind, and he hooks up the suction thing to clean out the toilets. And as he does, he clicks it on, the power jets on, and toilet paper starts going everywhere. Sean's hanging on inside for dear life. Gordy finally cuts it off. He's like, "Oh man, Sean, I'm sorry. I couldn't help it." And then Sean busts out of the bathroom, and they go back and forth here. And then Sean lands a vertical suplex to Gordy on the ground. Pat, what'd you think of this scene?
It just made me laugh. You knew he was going to do whatever he promised he wasn't going to do. And then it brings back memories of like when he busted out with the slammed him with the door and just put him in a suplex of you as and your friends together when you start horsing around or whatever and just you end up putting him in a move, whether it be a pedigree that might have happened in my living room and I slammed my friend's head on the floor and he might have almost got a but hey, it was all for fun, right?
Always, right? So the guys arrive at the drive-thru next, and Gordy's embarrassing the crap out of Sean, telling Brittany that Sean wants Brittany's taco with pork all over. And Brittany has the cheese girl kind of switch spots with her as they pull up to the window. And you can see this Wendy girl's pretty infatuated with Sean. And Gordy yells into Brittany, "How's the weather in there?" "Cold today. Hot tamale." She calls him a loser, and Gordy responds with, "Would a loser have 2 tickets tonight to Monday Night Nitro live from Cheyenne?" "Yes." "Well, okay." So they leave the drive-thru, and Sean says he's going to give up on Brittany, and Gordy says, "Hey, man, Wendy really digs you." Sean says he can't. She's too much like one of the guys, and, well, that's gay. JD, I don't think they could get away with this language here. We've mentioned gay and retard here in the first 10 minutes of the film. What'd you think of this scene?
Yeah, it definitely doesn't stand the test of time. You can't say that shit anymore.
Speaking of shit, how about the fact that they were eating their lunch while that thing was dripping shit every
Oh,
time?
I hate that. It's so dirty and so perfect and so set up. Like, just to see the dripping and the grease on the burgers.
Yeah, when that's what you got to do for a living, then that's what you do. Now, next, we've got Mrs. Mackenzie. She's the same old lady that Robbie gives the piano lessons to and gets paid in meatballs from the wedding singer in our archives. She tells the guys that Jimmy King is going to bitch slap Diamond Dallas Page tonight. They tell her that they're going to be there live, and then she says, "Hey, get me a t-shirt, a really tight one." And Sean's just like, Mrs. Mackenzie, that's gross. So Gordy arrives home, and his whole family is sitting at the table in cop uniform, and they all like holster their guns at him. And he's told that his sister shot her first perp today. And the mom says, "Shot him right in the buttocks. Just doing her job." We cut to Monday Night Nitro, and Sean asks the question that's plagued mankind for a long time. He wants Gordy to know, like, hey, if you lose your right nut, is it still considered your left nut? Pat, can you answer that question? I don't really know.
I would just it could be your left or your right nut. It would just be your nut.
Just one. Singular now. Yeah.
No,
Okay.
It becomes the middle nut.
Yeah. But then it's not in between anything. It's all going to be the middle.
That's a
It's
good
in the
point.
middle of your 2 legs.
That's true.
I'm
Like I
speaking
said.
from experience as a one-nut man.
We have the Nitro Girls next. Always a huge fan of the Nitro Girls, obviously. JD, do you have a favorite Nitro Girl?
Kimberly.
Okay. Pat?
I can't remember her name, and I don't know why I liked her. It was the one with the real short hair,
Ooh,
blonde, short hair.
is it Fire?
Maybe I have to look her up. I'll look her up while you're.
He has to go look at the posters on his wall.
Gosh,
The one I have underneath the mattress.
the one that's with the short hair, that might be Shawn Michaels' wife. He married one of the Nitro Girls.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I don't
Kyle,
know.
who was your fave?
Oh, definitely Kimberly.
Yeah, 2 Kimberlys. Okay.
Yep. She was on a pretty nice magazine back in '97, which I may or may not have bought.
That's so specific and so odd.
No, it's not weird at all.
Did you have the Playboy with China in it as well?
Yeah, I got it.
I may or may not have that. And Chrissy.
So we meet Titus St. Clair next. He's going over the finish of the match with Goldberg and DDP. Titus St. Clair, played by Joey Pantaleone, who's actually mirroring Eric Bischoff's character here. Pat, what'd you think of Joey Pants here in the Eric Bischoff role as head of WCW?
I thought he played it really good. And the funny thing is there was a movie he was in recently, or I saw, and I looked at him and I said, "Who is this guy? I remember him from a movie." and it was bugging the hell out of me. And then when I see him ready to rumble, I went, ah, there it was.
Yep. Also, one of the Fratelli brothers in the Goonies, also in our archives.
And I didn't realize when I was looking up his movies, I didn't realize that, and then it totally clicked in my head.
Yeah. Sinclair tells DDP that he doesn't know what to do with Jimmy the King anymore, but he's still going to win tonight. He's going to go up top. He's going to crown you. And he's like, okay, works for me. So as they're leaving, Titus tells DDP he needs to talk to him, and he pulls him to the side and says, remember I told you I'd take care of you? Well, tonight's the night. The camera zooms in on DDP and says, works for me, bro. So Gordy and Sean have moved seats. They're away from the giant pole that sucks nuts. And they're now closer to the ring as DDP and Jimmy the King. The match begins, and he's introduced as the King of Rock, Jimmy the King, by the late mean, by God, Gene. Woo! Jimmy the King makes his way to the ring, and when he gets in, he grabs the mic, and let's listen to another clip here.
And make him my medieval puppy dog bitch tonight! I'm king of rock, there is none high. Some MCs totally high. What am I doing? Yours is right. I won't stop running till I retire.
JD, what'd you think of the Jimmy the King rap?
He comes on strong, and I'm so happy that Jimmy the King is dressed as a king. He comes out to kingly music, and he's just ready to lay the crown down. I like that. Lay the crown down.
Crown him. The match begins, and DDP says, what's the deal, Elvis? You ain't got to be here on time like the rest of us? King's like, a little traffic, baby. So the match begins. They go back and forth for about a minute or two. And DDP locks eyes with Sinclair, who gives him the head nod. And DDP goes rogue here. He starts really punching him. King doesn't know what to think, and he's asking why. And Paige just tells him it's boss's orders, fat boy. So the referee in this match, if you're watching this and going back, is Rudy Charles, a.k.a. Baby Nate. Still doing the damn thing, too. Guy has not aged a day. It's incredible.
Guys, it's funny who just don't age.
Yeah, just one of those guys. The match is going to end here with a 4-post massacre. Sean and Gordy yell no, and Sean tells Gordy, this is what happens when you try and flush your best friend down the toilet. All 4 men come crashing down on top of the King, and DDP covers him for the win. Sinclair grabs the mic and declares that Jimmy the King will never wrestle for the WCW ever again. Pat, what were your thoughts on the match and what went down with Jimmy the King?
It makes me wonder if this, I'm pretty sure something like this has to have happened, where they just totally blindsided a guy. Well, actually, think about
Bret Hart.
Bret Hart. But
that's what this is.
Screw job.
Yeah, that's what they actually did this after. The screw job.
Oh, was it?
Yep.
Well, the other thing not to bring down the mood here, but God, think of all the people that are dead in that scene.
Ton of them.
Bam Bam Bigelow, Mean Gene,
Canyon, who's the stunt double for Jimmy the King.
Kurt Hennig.
Yep.
Ugh.
And then Macho Man at the beginning. Just, look, we didn't even mention that King Kong Bundy just passed away.
Yeah. R.I.P. Out of all the guys, no, Saturn's still alive and kicking, but it's not doing well at all. DDP's the only one that's doing okay. And the referee, who hasn't aged today.
The little flair. Was it Billy Kidman? Doesn't he do talent stuff for WWF?
Oh, yeah,
now?
Billy Kidman. Yeah, he's behind the scenes guy.
Good for him.
There you go.
Whatever happened to Hoovitude?
Who knows?
I think Hoovie's alive and kicking.
Yeah, he's doing all right. Did you know that Kidman's girlfriend in WCW, Tori Wilson, real nice girlfriend?
I do remember hearing that. Who just got inducted to the Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
Which I text you that yesterday.
Yep.
Get those pictures ready.
Sorry. So on the way home, Gordy and Sean are driving in silence, and they both appear to be kind of crying here, but they're playing it off. And Sean can't figure out why this has happened, and he starts to kind of slam on the steering wheel. He's like, damn it, damn it, damn it. And then he loses control, and they roll the work truck here, and it just comes to this screeching halt, and Gordy yells, we made it! We're alive! And Gordy asks, is that raw sewage I smell? It's like, yep. Gordy's like, yeah, I always like the smell of that. It's like French toast. And Sean's just like, yeah, French toast dipped in shit. As luck would have it, a toilet paper truck also crashes and throws a bunch of TP all over the road. And Gordy says, wow, what are the odds of that? JD, who writes this shit, man?
Somebody smarter than all of us.
I guess. So,
but it makes it,
I don't like this scene. It's so dumb.
Oh, how could you hate this scene? Toilet paper on the shit street?
Yep.
It's just so obvious. Gosh.
What made me laugh too was the fire department. Hey man, we're not janitors. The cops like, well, I ain't cleaning this shit up.
So Gordy and Sean.
To compare it to no, we're not done yet, Kyle. Back your ass up.
I'm backing up. Beep beep.
We have to discuss French toast.
I love some French toast.
Okay, obviously breakfast is the most important meal of the day.
Mm-hmm. Got to get your sugar. Got to get your carbs.
Patrick, what's your go-to breakfast?
I'd say eggs and some sausage and some corned beef hash.
Ooh, good choice. Kyle, what is my go-to breakfast if I go to a restaurant? What am I going to order?
Toast, no butter, coffee, black, like he likes his men, and oatmeal?
I like my coffee like I like my men, black and without a penis.
I forgot what your go-to meal is. I think I'm on the
biscuits
right
and gravy.
Damn it, it is biscuits and gravy. Okay.
Anyways, continue on with your spiel. You've got a whole thing going on here.
Sausage and cheese omelet. There you go. Gordy and Sean are now having to hitchhike home. Gordy thinks this can all be solved if Jimmy the King can just win the title back, and he believes that things happen for a reason. He's like, isn't it a little strange that we just happen to be in Cheyenne the night that Jimmy the King is cheated out of the title? And don't you think it's just a little strange that we just happened to crash our truck on the way home? And Sean's like, yeah, man, it's a little strange, but what's your point? And Gordy points to his wrist. He's like, what would King do? Gordy says, we should fight to make this right. He thinks they have one choice, and that's to go find Jimmy the King. This has to be some sort of test. We have to find the king. Sean laughs. He's like, all right, man, we got to find the king. So Gordy repeats that things happen for a reason, and Sean asks, how far is Atlanta? So, Pat, as far as like the storyline, this kind of lays everything out for us. What'd you think of this scene?
Well, exactly. Lays it out, and now you know that we have the main part of our movie here. We have our mission, as it was it from like the Blues Brothers would say, our mission from God. They know what they got to do. They got to find the king and bring him back to glory.
Go. So the next day, they've hitched a ride with a van full of nuns, and they're singing Kumbaya and row the boat ashore. And Gordy's like, you guys know any Van Halen? So we cut to Gordy and Sean leading the nuns in Running with the Devil. I just love that one of the nuns here, like in the background, they're trying to harmonize, and then you hear one of the nuns going, Running with the Devil! I'm just like, gosh, he just sounds like a dude there, but it's hilarious. And then we arrive at the gas station, and Sean and Gordy thank them for the ride. He's like, you chicks rock! And then the nuns leave, and Sean's like, Gordy, I got a very serious question here. I know we've just had all this religion, but I need you to swear to God. Where he's like, yeah, man, I swear. How many times did you fart in that van? Chris like, it wasn't me, man. I swear to God. Sean's like, I swear it wasn't me either. And then Gordy turns and says, oh my God, the farting nuns. JD, how great is this line?
I've never met a farting nun before, but I imagine having a van full of them is kind of going to be awful.
Yeah. Yep. So we meet the Shermanator next, who's playing a WCW arcade game, and we can hear Jimmy the King coming through the speaker. I will rule you. And Gordy tells him about the mission, and he's not actually the Shermanator in this movie. He's Isaac, but he tells him that he can help, and they're going to find the King's whereabouts. So we cut to his bedroom, and he quiets down Gordy, who yells, I will rule you, and then doesn't say anything to Sean as he's singing Britney Spears' Hit Me Baby One More Time. Pat, it's hard to admit this, but I know the words to that song pretty well. Be honest here, though, do you?
I ain't gonna lie. I mean, I do. I mean, Bowling for Soup did a great cover of that song.
Okay.
I'll just say that's why I know the song.
There you go.
But how about the fact that like he goes, keep it down. My dad said people who make a lot of noise or pussy or
Yeah. People that make a lot of noise are pussies. Yeah, that's like a theme with his dad that we'll come back to. They arrive at Jimmy's ex-wife's house, and she tells him that they haven't seen Jimmy the King in years. She says, all I have to remember him by is his itchy crotch. She asks if they want to see crabs up close, and Gordy's like, absolutely. But Sean doesn't allow it. She can't help tell them that, if you guys find him, make sure you let him know that he owes me alimony, and he needs to pay for braces. And she hopes his diddly turns black and falls in the crapper. They go outside on the side of the house, and they run into his son, with the most horrible looking teeth I think I've ever seen. Let's listen to a clip here as they meet the parents.
Beg to differ. According to his authorized biography, Jimmy King worked very hard in high school. And after you died in a plane crash, he went to community college. And he supported you while he held 2 jobs.
I ought to kick your ass, freak.
We saw him last week. He came and borrowed our motorhome. We haven't seen him since. That big shit.
Yes, Jimmy King received a speeding ticket driving a motorhome.
He gave them an address, St. Francis Motor Court.
Space 14.
Get off the phone, you pussy!
I gotta go. My dad says yakking on the phone is for pussies.
All right, JD, yakking on yakking on the phones for pussies. JD, what'd you think of this scene?
So much in the world is for PU-55Ys.
oh.
Oh gosh, just
a
his
little
dad's
10-15 joke.
His dad's tone when he comes on the phone, he's just like, "Get off the phone, you pussy!"
That's one of my favorite things in movies. Like you don't actually see the person, or you just hear it from the background. Like
Yeah.
I mean, well, you see that a lot, like Naked Gun movies, like where he was talking to his girl, and he's like, "Here, let me give you these panties back." He goes, "Those aren't mine," and he just chucks them to the side, and all you hear is a "What the hell?"
Like in Dirty Work when they pee off the side of the building.
Yep.
Are you peeing on that guy?
In
Sorta.
our archives.
This is where it kind of makes me laugh. Like I think this is where, like, they say that this movie kind of like killed WCW. Like they really showed how, or they really try to insinuate how everything's planned and fake, and then the whole thing with the book, like I beg to differ. After you died in a plane crash, and he's pointing at his dad. The dad, like, obviously not dead, like, and he's still in his head thinking, yeah, he's dead.
I ought to kick your ass. Yeah.
Well, what's up with the kid? The kid, he bends over and he has no butt crack.
I didn't notice that.
His pants are down and his butt is hanging out, but he has like no butt crack. He's like Louis C.K.
And then the queen, the king's wife, makes me. All the people that are in this movie, realizing, because every time I see her, the only thing I can think of is she was the aunt in Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Oh wow.
She was the hot aunt in that.
We arrive at the motorhome next to find Jimmy the King dressed as a woman, drunk on the couch. He tries to play it off and asks them to leave the medicine from the pharmacy on the doorstep, and he'll tip them next time. And they reveal that there's no medicine. We're fans, man. And Jimmy King's like, "Get out of here before I crown you." And Gordy's like, "We're your biggest fans." It's such a creepy voice. Jimmy throws a bottle through the window at them, and then Sean says, "Good, he's still got some fight left in him." They ask for 10 minutes of his time. he asked how much money they have. They counted up. They got $30. They hand it to him. And he's like, all right, personal appearance fee, $30, 5 minutes. Enter. They go inside, and let's listen to Jimmy explain what the heck happened to him.
Understand you're hiding out from Sinclair?
I ain't scared of that circus freak. You understand me? I made that damn league and he knows it. I put the damn butts in the damn seats.
Yeah.
He done exploiting me, so he plots a massacre with his pack of sissies and kicks me out for good. That's what happened.
That is so unjust. It sucks.
Not like the rest of my life been bowling cherries either. But I just trying to play the cards that's dealt me. Keep my chin up. Even though my wife just left me and my little boys confined to a wheelchair. My mommy and daddy just passed.
We met your wife. And she says that you left her.
Not how I remember it.
And your son's not in a wheelchair. Your parents aren't dead anymore either.
Good Lord. I am blessed. Praise him in all his mercies. Piss off. 5 minutes are up. Get out.
Pat, what do you think of this scene? This is just comedy gold for me. I don't know.
Well, I agree. Just like the whole thing. Just like, what? They're not? Everything the way Gordy is like, oh, your parents aren't dead anymore either.
I am blessed. Praise him.
Blessed.
Was this not just a scene out of an Adam Sandler movie, though?
I
just picture the water boy right here.
Yeah, there's some comparisons.
I don't mean that negatively. I'm just saying, like, it just reminds me of, comparatively, the water boy. Like, just...
Okay. So they leave to go on a beer run for the king, and as they're walking, Sean's like, I don't know how we're going to get back to Lust. Corey's like, why? Like, knock, knock. Who's there? Drunk Jimmy King in a dress, okay? We're out of here. So Gordy's able to kind of talk him off the ledge. They arrive back at the RV, and they want him to fight and win the title back. And he starts laughing. He's like, you guys know it's just a show here, man. It's like the circus. And they kind of go along, and they're laughing with him, but they're also not getting it, which is pissing him off. And he's like, listen, fellas, there's no more wrestling. I'm a has-been. I'm a never was. Now get that through your head, stupid. Get the hell out of my house. I'm done with you. And he shoves their bags on him. And as they're leaving, Gordy turns and says, you know what I don't get? How you can be phony if we believe in you. We need you to rise above this and take Sinclair out. King says he wouldn't mind taking one more swing at that punk. And Gordy pulls him off his chair by the foot. And the king yells for him to let go or I'll... And Gordy's like, or what? Or what? I will rule you. And he kicks him in the face. And then he crowns them both as they pass out on the floor. So the next morning they wake up and he pours some beer on their face. And it's wakey wakey, hands off snaky. And he says he's going to take them off on their offer to get one more swing at Titus Sinclair. And he tells them he's driving first leg. They hit the road. JD, the return of the king. What'd you think of this scene?
It's well set up in terms of telling the story. We're probably, halfway through the movie. And you have to think of things in terms of goals and sense of urgency to our characters. And now we have a tangible goal for our characters. They are going about something. They are doing something. They have a goal in mind, and they are going to bitch slap Titus Sinclair.
So they arrive at Monday night. Go ahead, Pat.
I was going to say real quick, one of the other parts I was going to say where they're, before he told him he was going to rule him, when they were trying to get him hyped up, he's like, remember the time Macho Man broke your neck in 4 different places? A week later, you came back and ruled his ass.
Oh, yeah, I love that.
Remember when Sting paralyzed you? you took it like a champ, and in 2 weeks, and about a month later, you got out of that wheelchair and you whooped his ass.
I remember being so oblivious in watching wrestling when he broke his leg, and here he is, and Lex Luger with his steel-plated elbow, and just everything that they just inserted into the storylines. I hook, line, and sinker.
Mm-hmm. I actually thought that a Hell in a Cell match that Mick Foley almost died. Turns out he almost did. Not all of it's fake.
Turns out Lex Luger actually did have a steel plate in his elbow. No
Right.
big deal.
So they arrive at Monday Night Nitro, and King's in the porta potty, and he's like, "It stinks in here, boys." And they're like, "Keep it down. We're almost there." So Gordy is going to give you the call, and then Gordy gives his what is going to be the signal, which is "Woo! Yeah, 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 yeah!" And he just starts screaming. And then Gordy and Sean start looking around as they leave King in the porta potty, and they kind of come upon the Nitro Girls locker room here. And the ladies are walking around. They're not wearing much, and they're just like a couple kids in a candy store here. Sasha comes over and asks what they're doing, and Gordy replies that they're looking at your breast. I mean, the pipes. We're checking them because they're big and round. She just gives him a weird look and shuts the door. Pat, what'd you think of this scene here, and what do you think of Sasha, played by Rose McGowan?
I mean, you gotta love Rose McGowan. I mean, especially back then. And then, you also gotta remember that they were the co-stars at Scream, right?
Yep.
And then, but yeah, it's a great scene. You got all the Nitro Girls in their undergarments, and I'm about to say I might have rewound it once.
Watched it like 4 or 5 times. I don't know.
Tonight.
Yeah.
Recorded it on my phone, so later on when I was alone. I mean,
why is it on a loop?
Going back to Dirty Work, he goes, "This picture always makes me horny. Wistful makes me."
Yes.
Oh, nice drop.
We love that line. Okay, so Sinclair and DDP arrive next, and they're getting ready to start an interview. Let's listen to the interview.
Ready? Come on, well, let's run out. Let's do it. 5, 4, 3, 2. So, Paige, what do you really feel about Jimmy King?
Yo, Snapperhead, up here. Jimmy King, he doesn't know what wristwatch. As far as being in shape is concerned, that boy was so out of shape. I was in the ring with him. It was like fighting a harpoon whale. What a bum.
Jimmy King is not.
So we see Gordy and Sean getting thrown around here by Bam Bam Bigelow, and then DDP comes out of the toilet and yells, "King, is that all you got?" And then King crowns him off the top of the porta potty, pins him 1, 2, 3. Sinclair grabs the mic and says that doesn't count. It was unsanctioned. And then they set up a match where all he has to do is survive. If he survives, he'll get the belt, plus $1 million. And if he loses, you have to forfeit your crown and never wrestle again. King's like, "Hold the damn phone." But Sean and Gordy accept it for him, and they yell, "Tonight, we rejoice with the king in his motor castle." And then Gordy screams, "Party." JD, what'd you think of this clip here and the comeback of the king?
I love that he delivers the crown from the top of the Porto John. Like, that might be my favorite part of this entire movie, because having loved and watched wrestling my entire life and have played every wrestling video game possible, you're always like, how high can I climb to jump on someone else? And the answer to this scene is a portal potty.
Yeah.
And obviously that means that the crown hurts more, and he just blaze out. Diamond Dallas, do what Paige laid down. You're not the king.
It's a pretty sweet move. Sasha approaches Gordy next, and he reveals that he has her poster on his wall. And then he jumps on the car and shows her what pose. She tells him that he's sweet and he's really masculine. And she says that she really liked that he stood up to those creeps tonight and helped out the king. And she mentions that she's from Cody, Wyoming. And Gordy's like, no way, I'm from Lusk. We cut to the party, which is in full effect. Disco Inferno's dancing. Mean Gene is asking the king if people think he's sexy. And the king's just like, I do, Mean Gene. I really do. And then he goes into his trailer and starts taking shots of, I don't know what that is, probably whiskey, something hard. He says, I got to train for this damn death match. And then he just takes off running and falls through a sewer hole. They pick him up the next day, and the guy's like, how'd you guys know where to find him? They're like, oh, we work in the business. They sing Jimmy the King is the best wrestler song. They assure him that he's going to be okay, and they found a trainer for him. So they arrive to the sound of just screaming men coming from this upstairs building. They knock on the door, and they're introduced to Sal Bandini. Want to wrestle? Jimmy can't believe it's him. He goes to shake his hand, but Sal puts him in a crazy hold, and he's about to snap his wrist when Jimmy taps out. Sal here is played by the late, great Martin Landau. This is a take on the great Stu Hart in the Hart Dungeon. Pat, what'd you think of meeting Sal Bandini?
He is in one of my other favorite movies of all times. And I forgot he was. I remember that Sal Bandini was in it, but I forgot it was this particular actor.
Yeah.
But Rounders.
Oh, love that movie.
That is one of my all-time top favorite movies. And but yeah, he's just got this old guy. He's got all the high school kids in there. Beat the crap out of them. He just beats the crap out of everybody because he's an old school wrestler. But I wanted to back up just a little bit because you said Disco Inferno. I had a quick question for you guys.
Yeah.
Three-way dance-off, who would win? Disco Inferno, Norman Smiley, or Alex Wright?
Ooh, gotta go with Norman Smiley.
Double down Norman Smiley.
I respect.
Okay.
What's your vote?
I've always been a Disco Inferno fan, but I'd either have to go Norman Smiley, or I might even give it a little bit to Alex Wright, coming down in the little Terminator jack.
Oh, his dance moves were impeccable, but big wiggle every day.
Hey, by the way, if you ever go to Vegas and if you listen, he's on a podcast with Vince Russo. And at the end of every podcast, he works at some gentleman's club. He gives the phone number and says if you call and say that he refers you, that he'll send a cab for free to pick you up. He'll buy you a drink and take a photo with you if you go to the club.
Now I know what I got to do next time I go to Vegas.
There you
I
go.
was just there 2 years ago.
I might be there in a few months.
There you go. So the local high school team leaves all bandaged up, and he calls them whackers and tells them to remember to twist until you hear cartilage crack or until they crap in their pants. Jimmy and Sal get into the ring, and Sal immediately just starts taking him down. King finally fights back here. He kicks him in the face, which they think killed him, and they stand over Sal, who's playing dead, and when they go to check on him, he kicks King right in the nuts. We cut to Gordy arriving at Sasha's apartment, and he says, Buenos nachos, senorita. She's like, oh, wow, Gordy, I didn't know you spoke Spanish. Gordy's playing it cool. He's like, yeah, I took it in high school. She's like, are you fluent? And he rubs his forehead. He's like, oh, I feel fine. But inside, he spills the beans about Sal Bandini and how he's teaching Jimmy all these awesome moves. And she's like, I want to see some of your awesome moves, thinking it'll be sexual. Gordy knocks her down with a snap mirror, take over. And then they go into the bedroom where she reveals her foreign objects. JD, this scene is, I don't know. What do you think of this scene?
First of all, I can't get over the fact that she has pictures of herself all over her walls. Did you guys notice that?
Yep, I did.
She's just so infatuated with herself that I think it's a good piece of writing in that it sets up what's going to be the twist of fate that comes.
Talking about Jeff Hardy's finisher?
You both like that.
I love that.
Why did the Hardy Boys and D'Lo Brown, neither of them came up in our top 5 episode?
Yeah.
I don't, like I said, I feel like tag team would have been a good top 5 too, because there's more wrestlers that you could have thrown in there. D'Lo, yeah. I've always loved D'Lo, man.
So When he had the chest plate on for his frog splash and just was laying people out.
Oh yeah, you're looking at the real deal now. Oh, got his hands going and everything.
Yep.
Remember, he's the one that took out Ken Shamrock, man. Ken Shamrock was never there after that.
Yeah, he sure
Oh,
did.
well played.
So Gordy, King, Sean, and Sasha arrive at the gym, and let's take a listen to King and Goldberg.
Oh, hey, Big Bill. Goldberg, what are you doing, baby? I didn't know you were in town. You're looking jacked. You're looking good. What's going on? Why are you here? What's happening?
Doing Letterman. What are you doing here? Preparing for your execution?
You don't think I have a chance?
Get real, Jimmy. Sinclair's extremely pissed off, and he's gonna make an example out of you. Face it, you're a second-rate wrestler and a third-rate man.
You're still sore about that spot I blew in Akron, aren't you?
You were drunk.
Oh, Bill, I'm sorry, baby. I was having terrible back spasms that day.
You puked on me.
The audience liked it.
I was your partner.
Hey, I made you. Wasn't for me, you'd be nothing. Yeah? Wow. Goldberg, that was a nice throw. How you doing? We represent Mr. King, his upcoming pay-per-view. You are the man, King. You are it, man. Come on. His Majesty needs you in the corner.
Look, guys, I used to look up to Jimmy just like you two. But the fact is, he let me down.
I know. King lost his way, but he has seen the light. He's a changed man. The change is coming. Just please, for a second. Look, whatever's happened in the past is the past, but ultimately he's your friend, right? And you can't turn your back on a friend, right?
Sorry, guys. The fact is, I work alone.
All right, Pat, you heard it. Goldberg works alone. What'd you think of this scene?
What made me laugh was, the whole. It's like they discredited everything that Goldberg had done in WCW. I made you. I'm the one that made you who you are. And I'm like, wait a minute. How about that unbreakable streak? That was.
Yeah.
I think that's what made Goldberg.
Yeah. Now, if you, I don't know if you picked up on this or if you did the research, but in the background here, doing some chest flies, is John Cena with a blonde flat top working out here in the background. This is before he ever got into wrestling. He was just a bodybuilder at the time, and apparently worked out in one of the big gyms out there in California. So they threw him in the background as an extra.
The Marine.
Yep.
Wow, I did not catch that.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna have to go back and I'm gonna have to look for that one. I didn't catch that at all.
Who would have thought?
You
not only the biggest star in this scene, but also probably the best actor, sitting in the background doing nothing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you just give a slight to David Arquette?
Oh yeah, I love John Cena.
Oh, I am in it. Next time I see you, I am going to give you the biggest Stone Cold Stunner ever.
I'll sell it like Scott Hall, Super Stunner.
Sell it like every time that the Rock gets a stunner.
There you go. I'll flop all over the place like a fish.
Look up the video of every time the Rock gets a stunner. He flops like a fish every single time.
Oh no, I've watched it. I've watched the whole 10-minute compilation.
Oh, fantastic. I read a thing that Stone Cold offered him a case of beer for every time he can sell it better and better.
That's awesome.
Well, he is even credited on here. Or not, I mean, I went to his wiki. It says uncredited. This just says Jim Patron. Wow. Never knew that.
Next, Sid Vicious and Saturn have arrived at Sal's home to take him out, but Sal set up a dummy sitting in a chair and he pops out from the floor. He's like, Sal Banditti, wanna wrestle? And he starts throwing these guys around the room, and he's about to snap off Perry Saturn's arm here, and he makes him give up the information. He's told that Sinclair sent him, and then Sid Vicious crashes a wooden chair over the back of Sal and knocks him out. So we cut to the hospital, where we find out Sal's going to be okay. And Sasha's like, I can't help but, feel guilty about this. Like, this might be my fault. And Cordy's like, no, it's not your fault. You're fine. He's like, I'm going to go get Sal a Butterfinger. And then Sasha says she's got to go use the restroom. And then King stops Sean on the way out. And he's like, hey, baby, can I have a Butterfinger? which I thought was hilarious.
Just love
Butterfinger
that.
too?
It made me want a Butterfinger as well.
We cut to Sasha on the phone with Sinclair, and she says that she did it. And, she's done what she needs to do. She wants out of here now. And Gordy overhears the conversation at the vending machine. Gordy overhears the conversation at the vending machine, and Sasha says that she's wasting her time at the hospital. The poor guy should be in a morgue after what you guys did to him. He tells her that she's now going to be the head Nitro girl for helping him out. JD, I kind of like where his head's at. What do you think about Sinclair naming her head of the Nitro girls?
Well, I find it interesting that they love each other.
Hey,
So
I
there's-
love you.
There's such a deeper connection that is established that we don't get to necessarily see
Right.
of the deviance of what is established in their characters. Because we don't really ever see them together.
Good point. Very good point.
But here we find out they love each other.
Well, how about the fact he's like, oh, he should be in a morgue? He goes, yeah, we'll tell that to Perry Saturn and Sid Vicious over here. And they're over there crying with their ice and licking their wounds.
Oh my
Yeah, I thought
gosh.
that
But
was
what but in all honesty, what happened to Perry Saturn though? Like he had a sad go of it.
Yeah, he's in rough shape. Yeah, he's got some.
He's on the upmend from what happened with that attack and shooting, but it's legit what he's going through.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he's there haven't been any updates in a while, but I think he's got some type of like Alzheimer's or something like that too. It's really bad. So we cut to Sal, who says, "My balls are in my throat, my prostate's the size of a melon, and I'm crapping tapioca. I feel like a kid again." He tells Jimmy to sit down, and he tells him, "You gotta always attack a man's strengths." And he tells him not to run away. Attack them head on at full speed, because that, my friend, is living. He tells them to get out of town and to get back to the basics. And Sean says he knows right where they can do that. Outside, Gordy and Sean are recommitting to the mission of helping him get back to the title. And King's like, "I don't know, baby." Sean slaps him on the chest. He's like, "Come on, man, my Butterfinger." Sean grabs it and throws it away. And they head to the RV, and then Sasha comes running out and says, "Sorry, I had to make a call." And Gordy's like, we're going back to basics. We're going to go find our heart." She's like, "Cool, can I come?" He's like, "No, because you don't have one." And then Kid Rock starts playing in the background here, and they drive off. God, Pat, I always love this cowboy song. What do you think of this scene and the Kid Rock song?
Now, first I want to know, was that Sal's Butterfinger? Because remember that scene started, and David Arquette handed him the Butterfinger.
Right.
King was just sitting there staring at it like.
That's right. He did freaking steal that Butterfinger because he only bought one. He stole it, put it in his freaking front pocket, and then got it smashed by Sean.
And then it's just and that whole little kid of, "Oh man, he smashed the Butterfinger," and he chucks it. He's just like in a total awe, like, You just threw a perfectly good Butterfinger across the parking lot.
Oh
and
my
then,
gosh.
And then, and Cowboy, and I love that album.
I want to be a cowboy.
Remember who was in that? Bring it back to Dirty Works, because what's his name was in it? He was in both Dirty Works and in that video. Gary Coleman.
Oh, nice.
Oh. Woo.
Well done.
You ever see Kid Rock in concert?
I haven't. Would like to.
Awesome. He gets on, like, he'll start playing every single instrument out there. He puts on one hell of a show.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I would love to see him if he ever comes to Fort Wayne here. I might check him out. On the road, King pulls off the highway and says he needs to do something, and he goes to see Virginia. And she opens the door and immediately kicks him in the nuts, calls him a bastard, helps him up, kicks him in the nuts again. And she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I just had to kick you in the diddly again."
Humanity.
So he's icing his nuts here in the next scene when she asked what the hell he was thinking. And Sean's like, "Well, I think he's ready to be a man." She's like, "Well, how's it feel?" He's like, "It's like Richard Petty ran a stock car into my nuts at 400 miles an hour." his son comes out and he's like, oh, hey, look what the rat puked up. And Jimmy tries to correct him. He's like, no, I meant the rat. And then he smiles at his dad and he's like, oh, my Lord, look at the boys' grill. His son just storms off. And Virginia's like, what do you expect? I mean, you just come by and you're going to say you're sorry? She asked what he's going to do about it. He's like, what am I going to do about it? I'm going to get that belt back. I'm going to win the $1 million. I'm going to pay off my debts and I'm going to do right by you. And by God, I'm going to get that boy a damn good dentist. JD, what do you think of this scene?
The boy needs a dentist. Flat out, he needs a dentist. And to compare a foot to the groin to a petty car at 400 miles per hour, Aunt Zelda has one hell of a heel on her.
Yeah. They arrive in Wyoming next, and Jimmy comments on how nice the clean air is, and he can actually breathe out here. And immediately, Gordy's dad comes flying up in his cruiser all the way up to his kneecaps. I thought he was going to run him over. And he makes him get into the car and drives away, and Sean and King just watch as they drive off. And let's listen to a clip here as he's getting lectured by his dad.
You're gonna be a cop, little mister. No skimpy outfits, no touching other men.
And I'm destined for other things. I'm following my dreams.
Well, your dream is stupid. Look, son, just because it's your dream doesn't make it right or noble or whatever. Charlie Manson was following his dream. Joe Stalin, Michael Bolton. You get my point?
Pat, I think he makes some decent points. What do you think of this scene?
Michael Bolton. I forgot he said that at the end. I started cracking up. Oh, man. And that's, which cracks me up because with that 2 Michael Boltons in a couple of weeks for you guys, right?
Yep. That no talent hack, Michael Bolton. Okay. Gordy is studying his room for the cop exam when Sean and King try to break him out of the bedroom. King tells him, yeah, I can't do this without you, baby. I need you by my side. I need you to get out of here. Let's go to Vegas. Let's rule ass, man. Come on. And Gordy tells him, no, I can't, man. My dream, it's stupid. Time for me to grow up and get rid of all these childish things. King says, come on, man. We've come all this way. You're giving up on me now? And Gordy tells him to get out of here because my dad will shoot you. He will. And he goes back to studying. And we start a really awesome wrestling montage next. We're not going to take it's playing in the background. JD, do you have a favorite standout from the montage tryouts?
Oh, definitely the chewer.
Okay. You're going chewer, Pat? Who do you got?
I gotta go with what was his name? Fireman Fred. I'm gonna hose you.
Yep, that was my favorite too. Fireman Fred, and then the chick that's apparently a Playboy model. I looked up to see if she was an actress, and she's not.
Of course you did.
Yeah, well, gotta do my due diligence.
Or you went and looked up your collection to make sure.
I checked both just for I wanted to be credible. No, I love the part where Chippy's like, yeah, that's great. She looks great. What's she gonna do? Boob him to death? They're leaving for Vegas in the next scene, and a lot of the towns come out to support them. Brittany tries to kind of win Sean back here, but he blows her off for Wendy, and he apologizes for not being nicer to her in the past. And he got her a present, which is like a shirt from the Hard Rock in New York, and then she gives him a gift as well. And they head into the RV to get the gift, maybe some chocolate. We don't know. Gordy arrives. Gordy arrives to say bye to the king, and King thanks him for all of his help and gives him a hug, and Gordy just kind of puts his head down and goes back to the cop car. And then King gets in and the RV takes off, and about halfway down the road, Wendy gets out covered in a WCW NWO blanket, and we've got another bare-ass shot of Scott Conn here, who has now been buck naked here in the last 2 movies we've done with him. I don't know if there's a third one we can do, but Pat, what'd you think of this scene here? And Gordy gonna have to kind of sit this one out, it looks like.
Yeah, and did you notice when he gave Gordy the hug, the dad was in the car just like gripping the wheel. 2 men huggy. Yep, and the good old tweeter walking out with his bare ass out.
Yep. Stop hugging, you pussy. Sorry, I gotta stop hugging. My dad says hugging's for pussies.
Hugging other men are for pussies.
That would have been great if he would have popped up right here. We arrive at MGM Grand for the pay-per-view, and Sinclair's in the room talking to Sting next, and he tells Sting that if he's going to have any success in this business, my business, you will not allow Jimmy to reach that belt. Sting just stares back at him and doesn't say a word, and then Shawn enters the locker room, and he's all decked out in his red, like, pimp suit here, and King says he's ready to go. So they make their way to the match.
He's just dressed as Stanley Ipkiss from The Mask.
That's a good comparison. I like that.
You're damn right you like that.
In our archives, by the way, The Mask, also, it's our #1 most watched video on YouTube for some reason. Don't know why. People love it, though.
Kind of makes me laugh, too. Like, he's, like, trying to get Sting to, like, follow along, right? And then, Sting's not, like, arguing with him. But then all of a sudden, he just has to add the, I'll fucking kill you if you don't.
This Sting's like, oh, you're going to thread me? Come on now. As the match as they make their way out, we have Sinclair announcing the WCW Championship belt is on the line. $1 million is on the line. And one man's life is on the line. They bring down the cage of death. It's 3 cages. 2 warriors, 1 belt. Michael Buffer announces Jimmy the King. And right before they go out, King tells him, watch out for the pyro. And Shawn's like, huh? What'd you say was that last part? So he tries to follow him out. And of course, he gets lit on fire by the pyro, and he's kind of got to pat it down. And then DDP's announced next. He throws up the diamond cutter, and Buffer does his thing. Let's get ready to rumble. We know it. So the match begins, and DDP starts by spitting in his face. And King responds with several right hands, knocks him down. DDP battles back, throws him over the top rope. And then Shawn gets involved here, throws some baby powder in DDP's face. He's like, that doesn't work, you idiot. And he's like, well, check out your hand. So he tries to walk away, and Shawn's handcuffed him to the cage. And then he turns his diamond cutter upside down and says, a diamond cutter upside down is a pussy. Juventud Guerrero and a masked man come out to attack the King as he's climbing the ladder. He fights him off and knocks out Juvi. And then he's about to hit the other guy in the mask with a ladder when it's revealed that it's his son under the mask. He turns on his dad and says he's paying him back. Sinclair calls for the goons, and then the music hits, and it's Goldberg, Booker T, Kidman, and Disco to the rescue. Followed by a cop on a cop motorcycle, and we find out it's Gordy. And he cheers on King and tells him to go get that belt. And I love the part here where we cut to his dad in this room full of policemen at the station, and they're all cheering on the wrestling, and he's like, turn that crap off. My son almost threw away a career because of that. And then the other guy's like, nah, man, he's starting a career with this crap. So he looks over and watches his son. He's like, harpoon that dude's ass. And then Gordy spears him, and his dad's like all excited now. He's into it. King and DDP have made their way to the top of the cage, and we see Sting standing in the rafters watching. King is on top of DDP when he gets flipped over off of the cage all the way down to the first level. DDP's about to win this thing when Sting comes flying out of the rafters and kicks off Page, and he swoops down and says, Jimmy King's okay by me. And then he also punches Shawn in the face for trying to hug him, and then punches Gordy because, well, me next. DDP and King climb back to the top, and this really reminded me of the Hell in a Cell match with Taker and Mankind when they went back to the top of the cell after he had already been thrown off. And DDP's like, who the hell are you fighting for? And King's like, me! And he kicks DDP in the nuts and then body slams him all the way through the triple cage. Page comes crashing down, and King reaches up, grabs the belt, and he's won the match as the crowd goes crazy. JD, what'd you think of the match, man?
It was intense as all hell. Like, I want to be included. I want this to be a playable venue on a video game.
Yeah.
To suplex somebody from the top cell all the way down to the medium cell and have them fall to the bottom cell. And then when DDP falls to the mat.
I thought it was pretty cool. Yeah. I wonder why they haven't brought back haven't ever done the triple cage. Like, that's such a cool looking thing.
Just it reminds me so much of that Hell in the Cell match that you already said about.
Yeah, I WCW did actually have a match with the triple cage, but like after that, I mean, it hasn't been back in 17 years. So, yeah,
Well, yeah, they got swallowed up. What the hell are they gonna do?
we have a shot here of Canyon in the front row yelling at Sinclair. He's just dressed as a fan. And of course, he's the stunt double of Jimmy the King. So I thought that was cool that they give him some screen time here. And then Gordy and Sean take Sinclair out and tell him that he didn't make wrestling. The fans did. They throw him into the crowd. Goldberg offers to become King's tag team partner. The King says he appreciates it, but I already got my tag team partner. Gordy, let me introduce you as the Lusk. And Gordy yells, I will bust you. And his dad loves that as he's watching. And he also introduces Sean Sugar Daddy. And I forget what his last part of that is, but he's basically going to be the manager. And then we're going to end with this clip here of Sean kind of explaining the ending.
See? Dreams can come true.
Yeah, but it was a one-time deal. Right, like you're really gonna be the King's manager and Gordy's gonna wrestle.
Can you say it now? I'm your bitch and you're my daddy.
You all right off it? That should teach you to be nice to kids.
All right. So, Pat, what'd you think of the ending of the film?
Real quick, did you call him the Lust?
No, Lusk.
I thought is he the Law?
I think they call him the. I don't know. He could be
They
the
call
Law.
the Law, yeah. And that's when he goes, I will bust you.
Okay, that makes way more sense. But yeah, I was in a hurry to type up the notes.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's classic. They all jump up in the Hummer. They start to take off, and you got Sal back. Two of the Nitro girls. Was he say only in America or something America? I don't remember exactly. And there's your happy ending. They got WCW now. The store clerk learns his lesson to be nicer to the kids and their bikes.
Yeah. I love Gordy's voice in that too. He's like, that'll teach you to be nice to kids. Be mean to kids. He's got like this weird voice going on.
That's my stapler.
Yep, there you go. So the film's 19 years old, man, coming up on 20 years. JD, I know some of the stuff hasn't aged well as far as the language goes, but what'd you think of the overall film and how it's held up?
Here's the thing, and we talked about this in the teaser and in the intro. If you like wrestling, you're going to love this movie. It holds up, and especially saying 19 years old, these are some old timers that you're going to see in the ring. Canyon and Perry Saturn and Psycho Sid, and it's just, this is such a great film if you are a buff to wrestling at all and want to see what the world looked like 19 years ago. It's a time capsule movie.
Yeah, I agree.
Loved it, man. This has been fun. This kind of concludes the 4-part wrestling podcast. Pat, man, this was awesome. I appreciate you having us on your show, and then we came up with this idea, and now 4 episodes later, here we are. So appreciate you jumping on the show again, man. Plug your podcast. Tell people where they can listen to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me on. I'm glad we did this, and I'm looking forward to more crossover stuff to come. But you can find me at Paranormal Passivity Podcast. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram, IGTV at ParanormalPat64. You can email me at paranormalpat64@gmail.com. Any kind of personal experiences, maybe you're an investigator or maybe a medium, anything like that, go ahead and hit me up. Maybe we'll have you on the show. And also on YouTube at Paranormal Passivity Podcast.
Yeah. I love when Ben always says, IGTV, YouTube, you can watch the shit. All right, awesome. Thanks for coming on, man. We're going to be back next week with an all-new episode. We're diving into Mrs. Doubtfire. This was high on our list early on when we started planning the podcast. I don't know why it took us 86 episodes to get here, but here we are. JD, what are you looking forward to most when we dive into Mrs. Doubtfire?
It was a run by fruiting dare.
I love it. Can't wait to get into Mrs. Doubtfire. As always, subscribe to the podcast, Apple Podcasts, CastBox, Google Play. If you want to watch the shit, YouTube. I'm not on IGTV, but follow us at Back in Time Pod, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and then also make sure you drop us a 5-star rating. That's going to help grow the podcast and help us get a little bit bigger. But for now, we're out of time. Time to get back into the DeLorean, punch in today's date, and return back to present day. Talk to you next week with Mrs. Doubtfire. See ya.
Did Shawn Michaels have the best sidekick with sweet chin music, or did Glacier have a better sidekick?
WCW Sub-Zero. I'm going with Shawn Michaels.
Hey-o.